It's an ordinary morning. A cyclist glides through a quiet street, breath fogging in the cool air. A pilot eases a passenger jet through smooth morning sky. In a schoolyard, children chase each other, laughing without a single thought in their heads about the air around them. A construction crew pours concrete, one truck at a time. Somewhere beneath the ocean, a diver drifts past a reef, watching bubbles rise from her tank. Far above all of it, an astronaut floats inside a spacecraft, staring down at a blue and white planet that looks, from up there, completely at peace. Everything feels normal. Then, without warning, without an explosion, without a countdown, without a single alarm, every oxygen atom on Earth disappears. Not forever, just 5 seconds. Could 5 seconds really change the world? Hold that question. You're about to find out. But first, we need to understand what we're actually about to lose. Think about the one thing every human being, every animal, every flame, every airplane engine, and even many buildings quietly depend on every single second without ever thinking about it. Oxygen. It's the gas your lungs pull in roughly 20,000 times a day without you ever asking them to. It's the reason a candle burns, the reason a car engine fires, the reason your body can turn breakfast into energy. Oxygen doesn't just help fire happen. It's one of the 3 ingredients fire needs to exist at all, alongside fuel and heat. Take it away, and fire isn't dangerous anymore. It's impossible. Oxygen makes up about 21% of the air around you. It's invisible, odorless, and so ordinary that most people go their entire lives without ever thinking about it directly. And yet, almost nothing you rely on, your breath, your car, your electricity, the steel in your building, works without it. Now imagine it's simply gone. Second one begins. Inside your lungs, oxygen normally crosses into your bloodstream in a fraction of a second. An exchange so fast and so automatic, you've never had to think about it once in your life. In this first second, that exchange stops. Your blood, mid-breath, has nothing to carry. Your brain, which burns through oxygen faster than almost any organ in your body, doesn't notice immediately. The oxygen already in your blood and tissues gives you a brief, thin cushion of borrowed time. Outside, the effects are far more sudden. Every flame on Earth goes out at once. Gas stove burners, candles, bonfires, industrial furnaces. Fire simply cannot exist without oxygen. So in this instant, fire doesn't shrink or flicker. It vanishes. Every engine that burns fuel to run stalls in the same instant. Cars, trucks, ships, and in the sky, jet engines, which depend on pulling in oxygen to burn fuel and produce thrust, lose their combustion entirely. For the pilot from our opening scene, this is the most dangerous moment of the entire 5 seconds, but we'll come back to her. Birds in flight feel nothing structurally change in the air beneath their wings. Air pressure and density don't shift yet, but their bodies, like ours, begin drawing on their last available oxygen. 1 second has passed. 4 remain. Second 2 brings the effects most people would never expect. The sky itself doesn't change color instantly. That surprises most people. Its blue comes from sunlight scattering off nitrogen and oxygen molecules. And nitrogen alone still scatters light in a similar way. So overhead, the sky stays recognizably blue, just subtly different if you could somehow measure it precisely. Sound, however, is affected almost immediately. Oxygen makes up part of the medium sound waves travel through, and removing it changes the air's density and composition. Sound would travel slightly differently. Not silence, but a subtle shift most human ears wouldn't consciously register in such a short window. Air pressure drops because oxygen is 1/5 of the atmosphere's mass. Losing it all at once means the air pressing down on every surface on Earth, every building, every bridge, every eardrum, thins out in an instant. It's not enough to collapse buildings outright, but it's enough to be physically felt. Ears popping, structures groaning under a suddenly different load. Concrete remarkably depends on oxygen too. Certain chemical reactions inside curing concrete rely on it, and freshly poured concrete, like the load our construction crew was pouring in our opening scene, would be affected mid-cure. though the concrete already hardened around the world would remain structurally sound in these few seconds. Metal surfaces exposed to open air stop oxidizing just for this instant. It's an invisible, harmless pause. Rust doesn't reverse, it simply stops progressing. High above the surface, the ozone layer, which is made of oxygen atoms bound together in a different form, would not vanish instantly. It exists over a much larger volume of atmosphere, and its disappearance would take more than 5 seconds to matter. This is important. Not every oxygen-dependent system fails at the same speed. Some collapse instantly. Others are simply too vast to change in 5 seconds. 2 seconds gone, 3 remain. Seconds 3, 4, and 5 are where confusion takes over. On the ground, people don't yet understand what's happening. Engines have gone silent mid-street. Flames have vanished from kitchens and factories alike. Phones still work. Electricity itself doesn't depend on atmospheric oxygen the way fire does. So people are already recording, already calling each other, already asking the same question in a dozen languages. What just happened? In hospitals, ventilators and oxygen tanks, sealed systems carrying their own stored oxygen, briefly keep patients breathing even as the room air around them holds none. This is one of the few pockets of safety in an otherwise oxygen-starved world. And it exists purely because of stored, contained gas, not the atmosphere itself. In the sky, our pilot is gliding now, not flying. Jet engines need oxygen to generate thrust, and without it, her aircraft has become, for these seconds, an enormously heavy glider. Modern aircraft are built with backup systems and enough altitude and speed to glide for a meaningful distance, even with total engine failure. 5 seconds, however long it feels, is a survivable window for a plane already cruising at altitude. Beneath the waves, our diver's scuba tank holds compressed air brought from the surface before the event began. So for these 5 seconds, she's breathing a mixture that still technically contains oxygen molecules sealed in metal, untouched by whatever is happening in the open atmosphere above her. Emergency systems everywhere begin reacting to the strangeness. Warning lights in cockpits, sensors in industrial plants detecting failed combustion, automated systems flagging errors nobody can yet explain. And then, exactly 5 seconds after it began, oxygen returns. Instantly, completely as if it never left. Flames don't reignite on their own. A stove burner doesn't relight itself. But oxygen is back in the air, ready to be breathed, ready to support combustion again the moment a spark or flame returns. The pilot's engines can now draw in oxygen again. Restarting a jet engine midair is a real trained procedure, and with air flowing normally once more, her aircraft has what it needs to recover. 5 seconds have passed. The event is over. But the world it returns to isn't quite the same as the one it left. In the aftermath, some things resume immediately. Others take much longer to fully settle. The pilot still has to execute an engine restart procedure, a real skill trained for exactly this kind of failure, before her aircraft is safely flying under power again. It is an instant, even once oxygen is available. On the roads, drivers whose engines stalled mid-motion need to restart their vehicles, creating a wave of confused, stopped traffic in cities everywhere, all happening in the same few minutes. In hospitals, the danger was never really about 5 seconds. Sealed oxygen systems handled that, but the confusion, the failed equipment, and the sudden halt of anything relying on open-air combustion would ripple through emergency response for hours afterward. Factories that depend on combustion for manufacturing and power plants that burn fuel to generate electricity would need controlled restarts, not instant ones. A process that safety systems are actually built for, since engines and industrial burners already shut down and restart under far less unusual circumstances. Wildfires already burning before the event would have been extinguished the moment oxygen vanished. Fire cannot survive without it. But new ignition sources returning to a world full of dry fuel could restart new fires within minutes. It's important to be careful here. Predicting exact numbers of people affected, injured, or at risk would be pure speculation. What we can say, based on how modern systems are actually built, is that the disruption would be enormous, chaotic, and global, but survivable for the vast majority of people on Earth in this exact 5-second scenario. Which raises a much bigger question. If oxygen can vanish for 5 seconds and shake the entire planet this violently, what exactly is oxygen really beyond the air in our lungs? Oxygen isn't only something we breathe. It's locked inside rock, bound into the silicon dioxide that makes up much of Earth's crust. It's half of every water molecule on the planet. The O in H2O is oxygen. It's inside the cells of every living thing, used constantly to convert food into usable energy. It's a key ingredient in countless industrial processes, from making steel to producing the glass in your windows. Oxygen isn't a substance floating loosely around us. It's woven into the physical structure of the world itself. Here's something almost nobody thinks about. Earth wasn't always like this. For roughly the first 2 billion years of our planet's 4.5 billion year history, there was almost no oxygen in the atmosphere at all. The air that fills your lungs so effortlessly today simply didn't exist yet. Then tiny organisms, cyanobacteria, among the earliest life on Earth, began doing something extraordinary. They used sunlight to convert carbon dioxide and water into energy, releasing oxygen as a byproduct. At first, that oxygen was absorbed almost immediately by rocks and oceans, leaving barely a trace in the air. But over hundreds of millions of years, as more and more of these tiny organisms did the same thing, oxygen began building up faster than the planet could absorb it. Eventually, plants joined in, scaling the process up across the entire surface of Earth. Slowly, generation after generation, breath by breath that didn't yet exist, the atmosphere transformed. The air you're breathing right now, without thinking about it, is the result of billions of years of microscopic organisms and plants patiently reshaping an entire planet. Every breath you take is standing on top of an almost unimaginable stretch of geological time. Which brings us back to that ordinary morning. A window opens. Somewhere, a child laughs. Leaves shift gently in a breeze that most people will never consciously notice. Somewhere, someone takes a deep breath without a single thought about what made that breath possible. For your entire life, you've taken around 20,000 breaths every day, almost all of them without noticing. Yet every single one of those breaths is possible because our planet quietly maintains a balance that took billions of years to build and takes constant, invisible maintenance to keep going. 5 seconds without oxygen was enough to shake the entire modern world. And yet, every day for your whole life, that same world has quietly given you exactly what you needed, without asking for anything in return. Sometimes the greatest miracles aren't the disasters we imagine. They're the ordinary breaths we never even notice we're taking. This has been Need Beyond. Keep looking up, keep breathing deep, and never stop asking what if.